When I discovered that my ex-husband had committed bigamy and financial fraud after he abandoned me, I frantically was looking for answers. And as we all do, I turned to the internet and I was desperately looking for stories, situations that were like mine to try to figure out who he was, to figure out what he was. How could he do these things? And I kept stumbling across various words: psychopath, sociopath, and then later on, narcissist. And at the beginning, it felt so amazing to see those words and to read the associated stories. It was the first time that I didn't feel so alone, and that I felt like there might be other people that get this, other people that have been through similar. Now, that was 11 years ago, and at that point, those words were not so common as they are now. And as I've done my own healing and research and living the last decade plus, I've learned that there are very definite pros and cons to the increased awareness of narcissistic abuse and the like. So the first, the benefits. There is nothing like the sense of community that you feel when you realize that you're not alone. When you've been a victim to something like this, you feel like you're the only one. You feel totally isolated, totally alone. And as soon as you find out that there's other people that have been through similar, it's so unbelievably welcoming and healing and comforting. And that's pretty powerful. It also helps you not to take it quite so personally, because when you think you're the only one, then obviously it had to be because of you. And when you realize that all these different people, people that you look up to, people that you admire, people that seem to have it all together, have been through similar, it makes you realize, oh, maybe it wasn't about me. Maybe it's about this type of person, and I just happen to be in their way. Having a label for something can be so powerful, because once we can name it, we feel like we can own it then. We know what we're dealing with. It's no longer so mysterious. It's something that we can begin to understand. One of the things that narcissists and the like to do is make people feel crazy. They want you to feel like you're the one who's at fault for everything. And so once you learn about their strategies, and again, once you hear other stories, it helps you realize that you're not crazy. You just went through some crazy stuff. It gives you a framework for understanding. It doesn't fill in everything, not by any means, but it gives you at least a little bit of an outline to start to fill in why they did what they did and how they could do it. It doesn't excuse it, but it does help to explain it. And then finally, what I think is the most important part is that it can give you tools and ideas for recovery. Ideally, once you find a community, you find people in that community who have healed, who have moved on, and can help you do the same. Now, there's a downside to all of this as well. Sometimes once you find that label, you narrow your focus, and that's all you can see. And that's not accurate. Just like we were victimized, we are so much more than what happened to us. And just like the person that hurts you might be a narcissist, they are so much more than just that thing. And so by limiting your focus, you're also limiting your understanding. It can also promote victimhood, because the flip side of the coin of narcissistic abuse is the victim of that abuse. And at first that can feel comfortable, especially when you do find that community of people that have been through similar and identify themselves that way. You're hurting, rightfully so. And you want that pain to be seen. You want that pain to be acknowledged. You want that pain to be heard, especially because it hasn't been for so long. But if you stay there too long, well, it can become too comfortable and too limiting. And sometimes the community can be enabling. Sometimes it can keep you there. I remember one group that I found shortly after divorce, and in the beginning, it felt comforting. It was filled with people telling their stories over and over and over again. And for months, I enjoyed reading those stories because it was validation that I wasn't alone in this. But then I noticed that some people were telling the same story for months and months at a time. And I knew I didn't want to be there. I didn't want to still be telling that same story, have that same perspective 6 months, 12 months down the road. And so you have to be careful, because if you're with a community that's all their focus is, that's all their identity is, it's keeping you there too. And that's what you need to be really careful of, is that this label doesn't become a distraction. It doesn't become an excuse to keep you from doing the work of healing. Because it doesn't matter when it comes down to it, who they were, what label may or may not apply. What matters is what you do with it from here. You've been hurt. And it's so helpful to find other people that can validate that pain and understand that pain and recognize what it is you've been through. But you don't want that to be all of your story. That's just a piece of it. Let them be the narcissist. Let them be their permanent label. You can take it off. You don't have to be the victim of them forever. Use that label to help you find understanding, to help you find community, and ultimately to help you heal and to find yourself again, because you are not what has happened to you.